Hey guys, it's Derica with Derica's Designs, and today we're making this cute little Christmas Highland cow. Oops, excuse me. Straighten out my camera. We're kind of bouncing here. Sorry about that. Okay, so I have made Highland cows in the past. We've made a baby cow. We've made a big cow head. But this one was just a little more fun, a little more whimsical, more cartoon-like. So that's the look kind of that I was going for with this one. I didn't want it to be just a literal Highland cow again. So, and I also want to show you, you don't have to make it Christmas, right? Christmas was just because that's the time of year it is right now. But this is the same cow without all the decorations. You could put a really cute springtime floral crown up here. You can, well, you really don't need to put anything down here. Where this red trim is, you could just put brown trim, you know, for the hoofs, or nothing at all, or just whatever theme. If you want an everyday cow, you wouldn't want to put the red down here, right? Because cows typically don't have red on their hooves, but you can make it Valentine's Day if you want. Make a little heart crown using little heart styrofoam. I mean, you could just do whatever you want with them. So I just wanted to show you, even though we're calling this the Christmas cow, you don't have to do Christmas. I just doctored them up so that you could kind of see. And on this one, I just put some jingle bells down here because on the hoofs, it's just cute. A little bow tie under the chin. And then, of course, I did a poinsettia crown. And then just hung some of the little glittered light bulbs. This is all from Hobby Lobby, basically, except the bells, of course. But you can find this stuff really anywhere. So look in your stash, look to see what you have. Check out Dollar Tree and all that. I'm sure you can find different things. Now the eyes are the vinyl eyes that we make here. These are Ollie's designs. You don't have to use these. You can use felt styled eyes. Over the years, we've done lots of eyes similar to these using layers of felt. Absolutely acceptable if that's what you want. You don't have to use these eyes. I just thought they were cute and they're easy. And then I have used just a set of eyelashes on them. Now you can use doll eyelashes. You can use the human style eyelashes. Whatever you prefer. It does not matter. You can do whatever. These are the doll ones. They're a little stiffer than the human side, the ones you get at Dollar Tree is basically what I'm saying. But it doesn't really matter. You can do either way. So let's get to making here. So I am going to make this one Christmas because I wanted to show you all the little details that you can add. But again, if you want this for Valentine's Day, Easter, wherever, springtime to me seems more popular for Highland cows. A Valentine's Day Highland cow would be very, very cute. I'm assuming very, very popular as well, as long as you just incorporate some hearts and things up on the crown, you can really make it any holiday. So let's pull out some of our pieces here. Okay, so on the pattern, you will notice there is a dotted line across the bottom of this section here. I just do that to show you which lines go where, because this piece here, you're only going to put it to the top of the hoof, because the little brown pieces that we made are going to go over the hoof themselves, okay? So I didn't extend the plush felt all the way to the bottom of the front hoofs here. So that is why there's a dotted line across there, just to show you for the fabric piece, you can cut it on that dotted line, but for your foam board, the inside line, you need to do the whole thing with the legs attached like that, okay? Also on the pattern, on this piece, I don't have it marked on this one, but you'll notice on the inside line of the headpiece, I have little notches drawn. There's like 3 on each side. That's just a simple thing to show you kind of where, I don't know where my horns went. There they are. Where the ear and the horns will go. It's just a simple guide. You can mark them on your piece if you want to, like that. So I had just put a line for the top, a line for the middle, and then a line for the bottom down here. Just as a simple guideline to help you know where the horns and the ears go, okay? So many things in my little bin here. So we are going to use quilt batting on this guy. You can use polyfill if that's your choice, but I am using the batting. Now on the body, because I am not this big, I have this big piece of chest fur that is going to cover the body. I'm not going to bother to put quilt batting under that. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. No, I mean, it's not really going to be seen because you have all this fur covering it. I will, though, I am going to put a little bit on the front feet down here and a little bit on, well, I didn't put it on the back feet either. So maybe I won't put it on any of this one. Well, actually, we will. We'll put it just from the shoulders down. I'll put a little bit of quilt batting, and that's it. But everything else is going to be covered up by the head, by this fur, by everything. So it doesn't make sense to put quilt batting back there unless you just really, 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 really want to. I mean, I'm not going to tell you you can't, but I don't find it's really necessary. But I am going to put it for the little feet because those are sticking out down here, and I do want just a little bit of a plush to those. Okay, so all I'm going to do is put some glue just on the legs, and then we're just going to put them like that. Okay, we definitely want quilt batting on the whole head, so we will get some glue on there and put that one down. Okay, absolutely want it on the little face, little nose, little snout here, whatever. Put it on for sure. There. Absolutely want it on the horns. Now the horns and the ears, be sure you're doing a left and a right. Okay? You don't want to do two like that. That's two left horns. So, oops. Make sure you do a left and a right, meaning go in the different directions. We're not gonna put any on the ears because those are gonna have the long fur on them. You don't need any quilt batting on that. I don't think we need to put quilt batting on the back legs because they're going to be glued to the back underside. So we don't want quilt batting getting in the way of those or making it bulky, you know. So let's just cut these off. So I think that's pretty much all the quilt batting I'm going to use. Granted, if you want to put quilt batting on everything, you absolutely can. If you start putting the fabric on and you decide you don't like the quilt batting, just pull the quilt batting off. It comes off very easily. It's going to make a mess underneath, but if you're covering it with felt, you're not going to see it. So, and if you want to do double layers of quilt batting, you can. If you want it to be extra thick, you absolutely can. Those are just all, you know, personal choice things. So as with any no-sew attachment, the first thing we're going to do after we get our quilt batting on is just start covering every single piece with fabric before we start to assemble the final piece, you know, get everything together. We want to make sure everything is covered in some sort of fabric and ready to be glued together. Trim on those. All right, so we have all of the quilt batting pieces ready. And since we are going to glue, this is the honey plush felt. This, I think you can only find this now in the, at Hobby Lobby in the felt sheet aisle where they sell the individual felt sheets. I think that you can buy a folded piece of this now. The only place you can find this honey colored is on that aisle. You used to be able to get it by the yard in the fabric section, but you can no longer do that. It's in the felt sheet aisle. And they don't have all the colors, so I am not 100% sure which colors they have, but I was kind of thinking they had this honey color. If not, you can get it online, and you can also get it at Joann's online, or you could just use the tan felt. If you don't want to search all over for this honey plush felt, you can just use regular felt. Regular tan colored felt would be fine. Just whatever fur you're using, just get something that isn't the exact same color, because then it'll just all blend together. You want to have different. That's why I used the honey instead of the creamy colored one, because I felt like they contrast each other, so you'll be able to see it. You don't necessarily want it to all be the same color. Okay, so now what we have to cut in between these legs here, and so I cut a slit upwards. See if we can zoom in on this. I did it upwards. I went to that corner, and then I cut to that corner. So I have a little triangle right here. You can kind of see that little triangle. And that's just going to help the fabric get pulled in a couple of different directions here. So we're going to pull this one up here like that. We're going to put some glue on this side. Now, if you don't want to get your fingers in there, remember, I always use my scissors. Kind of pull it up for me. Then I can grab it and pull it over. Use anything that has metal. Metal is not going to stick to the hot glue, and it'll help you. If you don't want to get your fingers all up in there, just use that, kind of push it up, and then you can kind of grab it and yank it and get it to where you want it to be. Okay, so we have glued that on all three sides. And I am going to put some glue. Since we're not putting quilt batting, I'm going to glue this down so that when I go to glue the head on top of it, it's going to stay nice and flat and firm. It's not going to be bulky. It's not going to go anywhere. All right, so let's see. I always give these, when you have a corner like this, just give it the tug test. If you go to pull it into the center and it won't really lay down well, and it's pulling from the other side, and things aren't just nice and flat, see, give it a little snip. Just one snip right down the middle like that, but don't go all the way to the white line, okay? Or to the white foam board, excuse me. Just go about, I don't know, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch away from it. That way, from the side, you're not seeing all those little white triangles that are just kind of, they're just they stand out so much on a project like this. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the little piece that I just cut, and it's going to go down that way. And now you can see why I put that little slit in there. Because see how far these two pieces of fabric are? See that big V? That's a big V right there. So that fabric needed to pull in two different directions. If you kept the fabric solid and didn't put that slit in there, it would be lumpy and bumpy, and you wouldn't get that nice clean edge like this one has. So see, when you pull it, it goes two completely different directions. So always do the little tug test. And if things aren't pulling over nice and smooth the way you want, then give it a little slit, just a little. You don't need a lot. You don't need to do it all the way around. I don't think that's necessary, but I mean, if that's the way you like to do it, you can. But I personally don't put slits all the way around. And then we're just going to continue on with the rest of this. And this should be fairly easy going. All around the curves. Just holding it for just a second. Just hold it long enough that it's not going to start peeling up on you. Okay, and I'm going to put a slight bit of glue over here because I want that corner to be defined over this way. See, when you flip it over, you have nice lines all the way around. You cannot see the V that I cut in right here at this little corner, you don't see that V, and that's what I was going for. I didn't want that. I don't want this foam board to show through anywhere. That's all very nice. We'll do the feet afterwards. Let's get these big pieces done first. Okay, so now we're gonna do the head, and the head's gonna be the exact same way, but there aren't any real curves on this except for the chin here, but it's so minor, I'm not gonna worry about putting a slit in it, okay? So we're just gonna go right on in and start pulling this. Now when I have a piece like this, I like to go, you know, east, west, north, south. I kind of do all the edges, or at least a north and south I do first. That gets it in place like that, so it's not going anywhere. And now you just glue up the edges, glue up the sides. Super easy. And just hold it for just a second. You can glue onto the fabric, or you can glue onto the foam board. It does not matter, whatever you choose. And then I like to just kind of just pull it around a little bit at a time, kind of hold it for a second. Okay. And we're just going to keep on going and getting all these pieces. Now here is the little snoot. This one I did with the tan felt, just so it, even though it doesn't match it, oops, I'm getting out of the frame here, sorry. It doesn't really match it. It really matches this fur much better. But again, I wanted that contrast. I didn't want them all to be the same color, because then they would all blend together and you wouldn't be able to see the definition. Same thing with this, even though it does have a curve here, it's not a big enough curve that I feel like I need to put a slit. Like if it was more of an angle, I would, but this should just go right around this with no problems. And then just keep working it all the way around. And these corners are going to try to pop up on you, so you want to hold them for a second. Just kind of go around each corner, hold it down, and then give it just a second so they don't pop up at you. All right, now whenever I have a curve like this, I like to just take my finger and push it all over. It's just easier for me. Do it all in one swoop rather than do each little individual piece of it. And then let me just flip it. All right, there we go. We'll open up again. And now we'll do this. Oh, there we go. Now these little squares are only there to cover the leg part, right? The bottom part, again, will be covered by the brown felt. So we're going to glue these directly onto it, just on the upper leg part. Because this will be glued to the underside, the back and underside of the body piece. So just make sure. Again, you want a left and a right, right? To make sure you don't glue two lefts. Those aside, and we'll do the horns. And this, I'm just using a cream colored felt. Now, I probably should have not put this quilt batting all the way to the end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and cover it, because this also needs to stick to the underside, you know. So you don't want this quilt batting in the way. You don't want to sandwich it between it would be the headpiece and this. So what I'm going to, that's why the fabric piece is shorter. Because when I put the fabric, I'm going to have this little end here, and I'm just going to cut whatever quilt batting is sticking out from there. I'm just going to cut it off, you know, and make it so that I can get a nice, good stick to the underside. But you want to take your horn and place it on here. And yes, this end is going to stick out, but see how I have about a good 1/2 inch all the way around? That's where you want the fabric to be, okay? Don't try to cover the entire horn with this piece. You want this end to stick out down here. Your felt is not going to be long enough for the entire horn, and it's like that on purpose, okay? So if you jumped ahead and went ahead and tried to cover all your things before you watch this video, you might be wondering, well, this piece of felt isn't big enough for this horn. Well, it was purposely designed that way. And you're gonna have a good little piece on the end here. And I always just like to squeeze it, kind of glue it down and squeeze it, because it makes it really easy to just snip it off. And then, you know, but see how I have all of that sticking out? So now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna cut a line and then peel it off. You don't have to get it all off. I just don't want that extra loft in there that's going to make the horn kind of do, you know, this back here where it's not really stuck to it. But as long as the hot glue can get through to the paper there, it'd be fine. Okay, so now let's do this one. Same thing. And I get to the end, and I like to put glue kind of on the fabric, because I'm going to pinch this. So I want to make sure the fabric's kind of in everything. I'm going to pinch it so that I can get a nice point on the end. I'm going to cool just a bit. And just snip it right off, just like that. So now I'm going to come back to this batting. I'm gonna cut it because I don't want to pull it from up under. And then I'm just going to pull this piece off. Much as you can grab, but you don't have to get all of it. And this is popping up again, so I'm going to go behind and just hold that. Oops. Actually, we'll do that because the glue is coming out to get me. Okay, so there are the horns. What else do we have? Okay, so now we can put on the hooves. Okay, and you can kind of tell, maybe not in the camera, but you can see where this is flat, and then you can just barely see the slightest bit of quilt batting. So the legs are just the slightest bit puffy. Not a lot, but I like that. I like to do that. So the little hoofs, it's okay if they go over that, because we're going to put that, I'm going to put that red trim there, remember? So you don't have to line it up perfectly, because the red trim is going to go right on the ankle. So just make sure that you get rid of the major gaps. But that red trim is going to cover it. So I'm going to get my scissors again to get it into this little crevice here, and use my fingers to kind of grab it and tug on it. Scissors are just a good helper. Okay. And it's going to be real bulky on these edges, or on the corners. So let me show you how I do those. So I like to, okay, I glue up the sides. probably put another dot of glue right there. Glue up the sides. Because it goes down and it's a straight line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it over this way. And then I'm going to have these corners. And again, I'm going to pinch them. I'm going to pinch them so that I can snip off those little edges. Okay. So we're going to put glue all the way across like that. Grab it in the center and then just walk it around. And then I'm going to pinch up those corners so that it's not really big and bulky. Whenever you have a corner, you're going to have where the two pieces of fabric come together. So for me, it's just always easiest to do it, just to pinch them. And then you end up with these little things on the corners. And you just snip them. And it makes a nice, clean cut corner like that. Okay? So we'll do the next one. I'm just gluing the sides. Go back. Fold this up and pinch the little corners. Just like that. That one's done. Now these pieces are probably a little big for these little half hoofs, but it's just easier to cut out for them than it was. You could probably cut it, I don't know, you can't really cut it in half. It's still too small, but you'll have some excess on here. You can trim it down if you want to. We'll do the same thing as before. Glue it all the way across here. And take the center and kind of fold it up and then pinch the corners. Just make sure you're getting glue everywhere all along that line so that the fabric has something to hold on to. Just trim them. Oops. Now if you go back and say your little corner here, it starts to open up on you, we'll just put a little more glue in there and then use a silicone and just hold it down. But just make sure you're getting glue all the way up inside there. So there's our little hoofs. All right, so we can finish our little nose here. So the little nostrils just look like big commas. So with this, I put the one where I want it, and then I do my best, my absolute best to match the other one. There's really no easy way to do this unless you want to draw, you know, draw it on your fabric before you start gluing things. But I just eyeball it, try to get them as even as possible. Not always that even. This is the little mouth and the tongue here. Now the tongue, the line should line up with the line of the lower lip area or mouth, whatever. So it should look like that. So they're lined up at the top up here, because we're just going to glue this on top of it. A couple lines of glue on there, and we're just going to set this right on there. And you can make it stick out further. You can put, I mean, it's little mouth. You don't, honestly, it's optional. You don't even have to put it on if you really don't want to. You just have the little snoot and that be it. And that's fine too. Okay, so now we're going to glue this onto the head. Again, I'm just going to eyeball it and try to get it close to center as possible. Let's see. Try to get a clamp on each side so I don't have to sit and hold it. Let's see, that didn't look centered. That's not terrible. Make sure. There we go. And just give it a clamp. Set that aside. All right, what else do we have in here? We can do the ears. Now the ears are kind of the same way as the horns. The fur is not meant to cover this whole thing, right? You're going to have some white sticking out. So, okay, you can kind of see it kind of goes up higher and then it's flat on top. Not flat, but flatter. And this is very curved. The very curved is the bottom. And I know I should have done that on the pattern, but still. The very curved, it's not, and then you can see on this, it's a little flatter on top and very curved at the bottom. That curve and this curve should match. And we're not going to have any overhang. We're going to glue directly onto it. So see, I'm not bringing it up because we want it to hang flat down. So we're going to take this piece, the curved part. Now, if you turned it over, you'll see it doesn't match, right? There's a whole bunch of fur. But if you flip it over, it matches completely. They're the same. I'm cutting from the same fabric. Now, you're going to have some overhang on top because we want to fold that over the top, but none on the bottom, okay? And we're going to glue directly to the foam board. So we're going to take this. We're not going to leave any excess hanging or on the bottom. It goes straight to the fur. See, there's no excess down at the bottom down there. And now we're going to put glue on the strip at the top that is excess, and we're going to fold that over. And see, I'm using my hand to just cup it over. So much easier. And you just pinch it and go like that. Okay, so there's one ear. And we may end up having to trim some of this hair off before we glue it to the back, because there's a lot of hair over here. You don't really want the hair in the way either. It just makes to where it's not going to hold very well. Okay, make sure, remember, left, right. You have to have one of each. And this one, again, a little straighter up here, much big curve here, much big curve here at the bottom. Also make sure your fur is headed the right direction. If you have a left and a right, make sure your fur is going down, you know, as fur would normally grow on an animal. You don't want your fur to be going upwards. It's too hard to control. So now I'm going to just glue this right to this bottom, like that. Remember, when you're working with fur, the less glue, the better. Make sure you're not getting glue in the actual fur itself. It's so hard to, normally you just have to cut it out, let it cool off and cut it out. Like there's really no easy way. But yeah, I can tell. I'm gonna have to trim some of this fur off of here, but for now, we're gonna let it go. Go ahead and add a little bit more glue on that one. That one looks okay. All right. So I think our little face is good and clamped on. So now we're going to put on our little hind feet. I do have a little. Okay. So you don't want the forefeet at the same level, because, you know, I bring it up about 1/2 inch or so. Okay. So that the back legs are not, they're up. They're not big. You don't want them at the same level. I mean, you could. I guess it really wouldn't matter. But in my mind, I wanted them to be stepped. They're long enough that you could do them all 4 at the same level if you wanted to, like that. I'm just looking at the picture. I'm not a big fan. I'm personally not a big fan of that. So I'm going to step them up about 1/2 inch. So I know this foot is going to be glued all along the back here. So I'm only going to put glue along this. I can always add a little more later, but just putting it on there is going to allow me to get it where I want it and then clamp it down. Let's see. And make sure you're using your grids on your cutting mat to make sure that these feet stay straight. This little foot there is straight. Make sure, just keep everything straight. Then I'm going to try to put a clamp on there the best I could do. Same thing with this one. We're only going to glue at the edge just to get it in place. And then making sure that the front feet are level and then, or straight. And then you go back and make sure that the back one is straight as well. Definitely, you know, use your cutting mat. That's what it's there for, to help you. This one just doesn't want to clamp. All right, so we're going to let those sit on there for a minute and not mess with them. Let's see what else we have. This is the piece of hair for the top of the head. The fur, again, needs to come down the forehead. Don't cut it and try to put it on upside down. It doesn't work. It has to be that way. Okay, we're gonna make the cute little tail really quick. You're gonna need 1/2 of a brown pipe cleaner. Let's use scissors. And I'm not gonna glue this on yet, but we can go ahead and all I do is roll this up in it, and it makes that cute little fun, little flirty tail for the cow. We use the same tail on the baby cow because it's just so cute. I don't know how to make it any better than this. It is adorable. And I am letting it get the fur on this because that's all going to be held in there. But I just rolled it. And the fur piece for the tail isn't really on the pattern. You're just going to use a little scrap. It can be a little 1x1 square. It can be, it does, you saw what I used there. It was just a tiny little scrappy piece. And I just rolled it. And then what you end up with is this cute little fun, like feather duster looking thing. So it just you just need a little strip of scrap fur, and then you're going to glue it so that the fur, you know, goes up that way. And then there, and it's just a fun flirty tail. But that little piece of tail fur is not in the pattern. Really, it could be a 1/2 inch by 1 inch. It could be a 1/2 inch by 2 inch, just however much you want to roll it up. It doesn't need to be too thick though. I mean, this is plenty. And I think what I had was about maybe 1.5 inches by 1.5 inch square. And I just rolled it right on there. So, okay, let's get our, well, Yeah, let's get the head attached first. I was going to do the horns and ears first, but I think we need to get the head attached first. Now, when you're doing this part, where's that piece? Okay, we have this piece that, it looks like a beard or a bib or something. You want to kind of get all this on here, because if you put the head too low, then your fur is going to cover your feet. You don't want that, and then it's going to have this weird spot up here. So make sure, put your little fur bib or whatever, or the piece of the pattern or whatever you have, so that just the edges up here just barely curl over the edge, just barely. And that will ensure that you are not covering up your feet down here either. So your head is going to fit right into that little spot right there. Okay? Like that. That's where your head needs to go. So that's the easiest way to show you where your head needs to go. Now, I'm not going to remove this just yet, but I am going to make sure the fur is. So I'm going to put glue. I'm not going to touch the fur. I'm just going to put it directly on this open area. I have another glue stick here. I'm going to do my best not to get it stuck in this fur. That's why if you want to use the pattern piece instead of your piece of fur, you can do that too. That way there's no chance of you getting it accidentally stuck in there. See, I just glued it in there. Then I'm going to place my head right into that spot, and I'm going to pull this off because I don't need that. That was just to show me where this is going to go. Okay, so now we'll put a clamp on each side, and we'll let this one, oops, I just moved it. That was not good. Okay. There we go. So we need to let this one really, and you can see by putting the glue on the body piece instead of the back of the head, there's nothing poking out. There's no glue globbing out here. There's no excess that we might need to cover up. It makes it much cleaner if you glue the body piece and then add the head to it. We have all kinds of glue strings. Stuff is like Velcro. It just sticks to everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and trim up our ears. Now, we want to have a section here where the ear, use your fur, like hold it down. And when I comb this fur down, it's wanting to cover this section over here. So I need to get rid of that clump right there. I know you're like, oh, I don't want to cut the fur, but you know what? It's okay because this is all going to be glued. So what I like to do is use my fingers and just make a part all the way down. So I'm kind of pulling, see how, like if you think about if you were parting your hair, you want to put a little part in there. And you have all this that's just sticking that wants to go that direction. So I'm going to trim it all the way up. And see what it looks like? I just basically trimmed it right on the edge there. So that's where I know I'm going to glue all the way to that line right there. And I still have plenty of fur. I didn't cut off, a lot, just a little floof. Now, if you cut your fur smaller than the pattern shows, you probably won't have to do this. This piece was just cut a little bit longer. So again, see how these pieces, they just automatically want to cover into the white area here. It's just, even if you comb them back, you don't have a whole lot to work with here. So you can use your scissors, just kind of create a part, and then use your fingers to make sure all these little strays are contained. So now we just want the hairs that want to go this way, not that way. I just hold it, and again, we're just going to trim it off. There. And you see, we didn't cut a lot off. Oops. We just made it to where all the hairs that are left are going with the flow of the fur, so we don't have things trying to go up underneath where we're going to glue it. Okay. All right, so let's take this off. I don't want to mess with it too much. It's probably not completely dry yet. So now we're going to take a horn and the proper ear, which would be this one. I'm going to keep pushing all of that fur back out of the way and kind of get an idea. Now I do have my cow upside down because I have to stand over him to be able to work, and that would completely block the camera, right? So I don't want to do that to you. So we're going to place the horns on. And again, I'm making sure, I'm looking at the line down here, making sure my feet are nice and on one of these grid lines down here. Then I'm going to put my horn in here, and I'm going to make sure the point is basically coming to the same line. And I can see this side is overhanging just a little, so we're just going to move it down again. And we're going to pull the fur back and just slide this one up right there. Okay. And sometimes you just want to step back and kind of look at it, or step above it, you know, go above it and just look at it. Last thing you want are your horns to be like that, guys. Make sure you get your horns. Once the horns are good, your ears will go in fine. But be very mindful. Don't make your horns, and don't make one in, you know, just really take the time. Take the extra time to make sure your horns are equal. So again, this one is almost to that line. This one is way off of that line. So we're gonna, sometimes too, and this is a trick I know a lot of you might use for your wreaths. After you're done making a wreath, take a picture of it and then decide if it needs any more, if you need to move anything or that sort. Sometimes the picture will give you so much more. I think those are pretty good right there. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to move them, I'm putting one glob of glue up under here. Just like that. That one came out back at me. So we're going to cut it off. Just one touch of glue right there. Get them back lined up because I moved everything. We can always add more glue, but that one little piece of glue, I like the way that one is sitting. While that glue is still kind of wet, you can still manipulate it, move them around. I like where those are. So now we're just, and we can, and from the back side, you can always go and put in a couple more globs of glue. But for the moment, we're going to let this cool. Cut off this little bit of, I've had the little tiny bubble of glue pop out over here. Right here, there's just a little bit, which this is going to be covered by fur, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to get it off anyway. So we just kind of want that to hold it there. Now again, the ears are just going to go right up under it, just like that. Don't necessarily have to worry so much about the ears being even because the fur is going to make them go all over the place, right? The fur is just everywhere. So now I'm going to glue that cut fur that we had and the white paper. I'm going to lift it just slightly and I'm going to put this under there, right there. You basically want the ear and the horn to be basically touching right there as much as you can. You know, you don't want a huge gap between them, all right? You can have them tilting downward. You can have them going straight out. Again, a lot of that is personal preference on how you want your cow to look. See how fluffy they are? They're like golden retriever ears. So you have a lot more room to play with those. They don't have to be as precise. And you're going to want to hold this. Now I'm going to, once the ears have kind of cooled off enough where they're going to stay, I will flip it over. And then I will add more glue to the back of these horns. Okay, not on the front, because I don't want to mess anything up on the front. But to the back, I'll add a little bit more glue, and then they won't go anywhere. And this little hair piece, this little toupee thing we got going here is just literally going to be glued right there. So again, I love using pieces like this that will cover any little tiny imperfection you may have. Because, you know, we're not all perfect at doing this. You know, it's not always super easy. Okay, so look at my back. I have to put glue up under these horns. They're not even attached down here because I only put that one glob in. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to clamp them like that. I just to double sure. Actually, I'm going to put some underneath these ears as well, because I don't see where they're. There we go. And see how the glue is globbing out back here? It's okay. That's perfectly fine to have glue globbing out on the back like that, as long as your fingers aren't in it, right? So I'm going to get 2 more clamps. I'm going to hold this for a second because I don't want it to go anywhere. So we have the 2. I thought we did. Oops. Well, not sure what I did with them. We'll clamp one at a time. We're just going to clamp that on there, just like that. And I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to do anything with it. I'm really surprised I don't have another clamp. I very distinctly remember bringing 4. Y'all, I'd lose my head. I would lose my head. It was not attached. That's okay. So we're going to leave that. All right, so we need to let this completely cool before we do anything else. So we're going to move on. I'm going to show you really quickly how to make a little Santa hat, okay? Very basic, simple Santa, right? You can make this Santa hat as big or small as you want. I did include it in the pattern, but remember, you can make it as big or small as you want. It is a V and then the edges, but you just do a cone shape. Just find a corner of something and do a cone shape and then flatten it out. And when you go to cut it, it's going to make this for you. Like, I didn't design this. It just does this automatically. Because when you go to fold, say this was a perfect cone and you fold that side over and you fold that side over, and then you want to cut it straight across, right? Because your cone you're going to have points and you're going to have things. You cut it straight across, and when you open up the cone again, it's going to automatically look like this. So it's just what it does. Alrighty. So all I have done was, like I said, like a paper airplane, fold over to the point, fold over this side to the point, hot glue that down. And this is a small little hat. This is just a little, you know, decorative hat. So you can make them as big and wide as you want. Okay. Just cut out a cone and get it to where the width that you want when you put it on your item. And then tape it together if you're using like poster board, and then start cutting it out. And you can do any size, but this is just really small. Like this to me would be like a little ornamental. Let's see, let's get this one over here. It's not necessarily a huge hat. Okay, but what's important for me anyway, see the seam? You think, oh, well, that seam should be on the back of the hat, right? No. Not really, because personally, now if I was going to leave this straight up, yeah, you want the seam in the back, right? But that kind of looks like a birthday hat. I'm not too thrilled with that. I don't really like that. So if I were to glue this onto the head right here, let's just sort of get it on there like that. I want this to flop down, right? You want it to flop down so that it's super cute little guy like that. And it looks adorable. So for me, I put the seam where I'm going to flop it down, because then you can't see the seam at all anywhere on it. It completely hides the seam. But if you put that little hat up there, it is really cute. Sorry, it's hard for me to do this. I might just go ahead and put this little hat on him because it fits him perfectly. Actually, let's do it. I have no reason not to. And then, guys, this bottom is just a piece of scrap Sherpa. I just cut a strip of Sherpa. You can use fur if you have the fur. And then just a little 1-inch pom-pom. Just a little pom-pom. That's up to you though. You don't have to. I personally like the poinsettia crown because Highland cows are known for their crowns, you know? See, what I hate is that I'm gonna have to glue all this fur up here. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it happen. Ugh, it's not gonna be pretty. All right, so there to there, okay. All right, well, oh my gosh, let me flip her over. Flip her over. We're gonna do it from the back first to make sure we get it in place. I don't like gluing all this fur down, but the hat is super, super cute. So it'll be worth it. We want the back to stay in place before we start gluing on the front. So I'm gonna let that cool for just a minute. And I do have it pushed as far over as I can to the side that it's going to flop on. It's not super far, but it is that direction. So let's flip it around. Because when I go to put this on like that, I want to be sure. I have a little bit of red felt sticking out here that's bothering me, which is cut uneven. There, a little tiny piece. Okay, so now, oh, I hate this. The fur is going to want to stick to everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab it and fold it up and then just use my fingers to comb that fur down best I can. Fold it up, and we're going to put a knot, not at the edge. Try to go about a ½ inch up. If you put it at the edge, it's going to seep out and it's going to make a mess. Make sure you put the glue at least a ½ inch in. Now, it's not going to be a good solid stick because you're gluing on top of this fur, but we're going to make sure the sides and the back are secure and then it won't go anywhere. Put some in each side. See how it wants to flip backwards like that? Because it's just holding on to fur right here. Yeah, I hates it. And then let's see, let's get this guy flipped over right there. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go down under this fur, like under a layer of fur, not all of it, just under one simple layer. I'm gonna put another slight line of, very small, slight line of glue, like that. So I don't think that will really help that much, but we're gonna try it. We're gonna try all the different options, right? And then I want this little ball. Make sure you get the ear hair out of the way. I'm gonna glue this directly to this white Sherpa. And if we need to help hold this on, I will glue this ball to the side of this face right here. We're gonna hold that. You see, we'll let this cool off and then we'll see where we're at with this. Again, with the red felt. That's not very good at cutting. There we go. Okay, so you can kind of see, now that I'm making a total mess, it looks cute, a little hat on there. So what I'm gonna do, again, to hold it in place even more, I'm gonna put a dot of glue on this white pom-pom. I'm going to glue it to the side of the head. That's gonna keep the hat, that's gonna be another anchor to keep the hat forward so it doesn't wanna keep going back, because there's not much more I can glue in the fur here, and I really don't wanna make a mess in this. What's still, what's sticking out here is still really good. I don't wanna put a bunch of glue all over it. So, all right. So now we'll set that aside and let that completely cool, and we'll get this guy back. I don't think I'm gonna need to clamp the other side. I think it got pretty good. But flip her over. Oh, there we go. It looks cute already. We haven't even finished him yet. Okay, so again, the hat is totally optional. You can do poinsettia crown, whatever. That's, use your creativity. Okay, so let's put on the chest fur. Now this, you are going to need a pair of scissors, okay, or something that's, you know, metal that can kind of push. Even your X-Acto knife will work if you use the dull edge. We're going to put it on like a bib, kind of like that, okay? And what we want to do with our fingernails, you want to tuck that raw edge kind of up under. Just tuck it all the way. And make sure you can feel both sides. And they're just barely gonna curl over those the shoulders up there. Just barely, not a lot. All right, make sure you get your ear hair out of the way because everything is gonna fight and work against you on this project. And we're just gonna pull up this side, just the side here. And I'm gonna put a line of glue right on this edge. That's it, one line of glue. We're gonna set it back down. Now you can use your fingernails or grab your scissors and just very lightly tuck that raw edge where you cut this fur with your X-Acto knife and tuck it up in there so that that glue line that you just put there is gonna hold it right there. That way you don't see any of that raw edge. But see over here, you can see that raw edge. You don't want that, right? Okay, so now we're going to pull it up all the way over to where we glued it. We're going to go same thing up under the chin here. Bring it back down. See that raw edge? You definitely don't want that showing. So tuck it up under. And try to keep the fur, you know, combed down and out of the way. Now use your scissors to just tuck it up in there. So that none of that white lining, that mesh lining is showing from the back of the fur, okay? Now we're gonna do this side. Again, you're always, you know, moving your fur out of the way. You definitely don't wanna get glue anywhere on the fur. Now, if you do get a glob of glue or something happens on the fur, let it cool. Do not try to smear it off. Let it cool. You can cut it off later. Sometimes you can just use your fingernail and scrape it off without having to have a cut. You just do not want any blunt cut edges on any of your fur. Okay, you want your fur to be flowing. Never, you know, never cut blunt edges. But if I was doing something and I got a glob of glue right here in the center, like right front up center right there, let it completely cool. It's gonna cool in a little ball, right? And then you're just gonna pick up the fur that it's attached to, and you're gonna slowly use your fingernail and just work it off slowly. Don't just cut it, because you're gonna have a big blunt edge right on the front of your project. That's not pretty, okay? Blunt cut fur is not pretty ever, anywhere. So, but just pick up the pieces that are all affected by that glue glob that accidentally got on there. And even if it's a string or a line of glue that just, you know, maybe a big heavy glue string, just pick up each little one, and then after it's cooled, and then you can usually pick them off very easily. You just have to be very meticulous about it, okay? But again, no blunt cut edges. Just don't. You want to know something that'll make me cringe? Blunt cut fur. I don't care what project it's on. I do not want to see blunt cut fur. This fur is beautiful. It should never be cut. You want all of that gorgeous, you know, long fur. You do not want it cut. Okay. So now we have our pretty little ears, the pretty little chest hair. Right here, right here. When I'm doing this little area right here was pulling out. So I'm going to use my detail tip gun. I want to put an extra little jab in there, just the tiniest little blob in there to keep that little edge from coming back out again. Everything else looks good. There was just that one little spot. Okay, so look how cute he is already. Even without a face. He's super cute. All right, so now we're going to do our little toupee up here, remember? And all we want is the very top of this to glue to the very top of this. We don't want it going all the way to the back side. Okay, so basically when you put it on there, you're going to put it on there so it goes just like that. You don't want it folding all the way back, okay? That's just a waste of fur. I mean, why put it back there? Nobody's going to see it. So I'm going to hold it this way again. Well, here. Sorry, I'm I want to make sure I center it first, which I didn't have it centered, so it's centered. So I'm going to flip it over, and you can see I'm just going to put enough that it's just going to go right on the top up here. And I'm going to put a line of glue. We're committing. And we're just gluing this to the very top of this. Again, you don't want it, you definitely, ouch, that was hot. You don't want it folding over the back. It's just, again, a total waste of fur. And you want that big comb over. You don't want it necessarily sticking straight up back here. You want that, you want it to comb downward into the, like bangs. Now, some of it might floof up a little bit, but for the most part, it all combs forward very easily. All right, so we got that part. So now we're going to go back, we're going to lift this up and add glue to the rest of it so it doesn't flop in the wind, you know, a bad toupee. You don't want that. That's not a good look. All right, let's go ahead and get our eyes going while we're letting all of that cool off. Now again, these are our vinyl eyes, but you don't have to use these. You can use felt. You can, if you cut out these shapes, you could do it in a white, brown, and black felt. You can use whatever kind of eyes you like, actually. If you have a different style, a different color, different, just whatever you like. This just was one that we make here, and I liked the look of it on this cute little cow. Now we do have an eye called a baby cow eye, which it would actually be really cute on this as well. I just decided to do something different though. But you can, just don't think you have to use these ones. You can use the baby cow eyes. You can use the reindeer eyes. I mean, there's lots of big brown eyes. I think that would work really well. So just look at all of them and just decide which one appeals to you. I'm pretty sure these are called bear something. There's some type of bear eyes, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, we do sell vinyl, these vinyl eyes. We sell them on my webpage at derricasdesigns.com. And just look at the vinyl eyes section, and we've got lots. Lots of different ones that my daughter has designed, created. And we use them all for everything, pretty much. Okay, so these, again, these are the doll eyelashes. They are not the human type of eyelashes. So I'm going to go ahead and use them. But you can use either. There's really no big difference. Okay, just trying to decide how big to cut these. They come in 6-inch pieces. I get these on Amazon. People always ask me. And listen, if you can't find it in a store, get it on Amazon. Look on Amazon. Just always. Just immediately go to Amazon. Search for something close, and I promise. The Amazon peoples know me very well, right? I think they do, all of us. We have just a few packages here and there. Now, these have a very thick band on it. I like to cut them in half. They're hard to work with when they're super, super thick. So I think these are just made for dolls or stuffed animals or things like that, where you might sew them in or somehow, I mean, they're really heavy duty. So I'm not exactly sure what they use them for. All right, so but now that I've cut the band, they're more pliable, and I can kind of, you know, make them curl the way I want them to. Okay, so now we'll move his bangs out of the way. Now they're all glued down, and there's a little spot right here that has a tiny bit of glue. It's on the very underside, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to cut it from the root. Cut the whole hair. I don't want that little piece with glue right there. All right, so now you can attach your lashes to your eye before you attach it to the cow, and with the human eyelashes, I would recommend that. But with these big, thick doll eyelashes, they need to go on separate. So that's just experience with me doing this a million times. It's so much easier to just do these ones totally, because they're so much thicker and they basically stand on their own. They don't need to be glued to the back side, underside of this eye at all. I'm just going to stick them right, I'm going to glue it right along the edge. Now, most eyelashes you think would go, like, think about your eyelashes. They curl out and up. Now, because it's almost impossible to do that, I do them from under and out. They're backwards. But to try to glue these on, well, I guess with this one it wouldn't be as bad. Yeah, we'll try it with this one. Trying to glue the human ones on like this, because they're so soft and pliable, not the easiest thing to do. But we're going to try it with this one. It really doesn't change the look that much, other than people look at, oh, those eyelashes are backwards. Well, yeah. You try to glue eyelashes onto a cow. I mean, come on. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. You can absolutely use the glue that comes with your human eyelashes as well. You do not have, and whatever you do, do not touch hot glue to the human eyelashes. They will melt like gone, like shrivel up like a dead spider. So you have to be very careful. But the adhesive that comes with them, if your little eyelashes come with a little tube of adhesive, save that. I've had people tell me that they use that all the time. And it works it's just glue, basically. It's like it holds on to it, no problem. So use that. Okay, so I'm gonna need another dot of glue right in here, right in this corner. There we go. Okay, so you can kind of see there. The little eyelashes. Those big eyelashes, actually. These are really big. But, you know, cows, especially these little Highlands, have the longest eyelashes. That's what makes them so incredibly adorable. Okay, so we're gonna glue up this one. Just gotta hold it. Okay. See, they're cute. And then you can bring the bangs back down so it doesn't look. So there. I mean, you can literally, other than I would put some brown trim or something down here on the hoofs. Oh, and a tail. You don't want to forget the tail. Let's do the tail real quick. I don't really have a specific place where the tail comes out, just kind of wherever looks good to you. I like to put a glob of glue, oops, and then I use my silicone to just hold it like that. I just hold it for a minute. But this would be done. This would be a cute cow. Now, if you want to put a crown up here of whatever season you're selling it in, then absolutely. If you want to do something with the hooves, like if it's Valentine's Day, why not make red hooves? Like, make her fancy, you know? I don't know. You just have to use your imagination. You know, use Google, use things, look up things on Pinterest, different holiday Highland cows. You know, like even if you go to TJ Maxx or Marshall's or Ross or any of those stores, they've always had a gnome for every season, and I'm pretty sure going forward they're going to have a Highland cow for every season. So get ideas from that. Don't copy them, of course, but you can always get an idea. There's, you know, if you see something that you like, you can always put it on yours. Like if somebody's using a certain type of crown up here, and you can buy the headband and it's already all done. Well, buy the headband, pull all the stuff off and put it on the crown. So much easier. You don't have to do every single little thing from scratch. I love to use things that are kind of pre-made, pre-ready. I mean, why not? So I'm just cutting the red ribbon. so that we can, I'm just going to put it right along this little edge. Use my scissors to kind of tuck that up under. Fur out of the way. And you could do this before you put it all on. If you already know beforehand what you're putting across the hooves like this, you could put it on before we did everything else. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of rules to this. As far as the layers and what needs to go first and what needs to happen next, there's no real set. Okay, you know, now sometimes you have to do certain thing before you can do the next thing on certain patterns, and I get that, but this is really not one of those. I feel like this one doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of layers. All right, we're gonna flip her over. I'm just gonna tack down all the little edges. Always fixing the fur, always. Alrighty, so now it's just decoration parts. I am going to make this a Christmas one. These are the poinsettias that I use for the crown. Or you could, if you're doing the hat, you could just maybe do one poinsettia right here. You know, one big poinsettia right there if you want the hat. But I used the poinsettia crown. I just glued them on. Really didn't get too fancy with it. So when I did the poinsettias, I did want some of these floofy hairs sticking straight up when I started doing. So I'm parting it, not even, just kind of clumps of hair, just so that a few of these stick up. I just like the look of it. They're silly, you know. I want that floof, so I'm really kind of pulling it like that. See, like that. And if you're going to do some sort of crown thing, have a few of the hairs come up. If it's all combed over perfectly flat, it won't look as natural. So just cut it off. Add right there in the center. And again, once you put it in, you're pretty much committed. Now, you can pull it out if you have to move it, but just know it's not going to lay flat ever again. And these are just my little Christmas from Hobby Lobby. But honestly, little poinsettias from just about anywhere will work. So if you're at the Dollar Tree and you see some that you want to use, then use it. If you see a garland that has some really cute things on it, then use the garland. If you're going to do a springtime one, you can do the sunflowers or daisies or, you know, just all of the springy stuff. There. Isn't that cute? Just like that. And it's just a little crown of poinsettias. You could put some holly leaves behind it if you want green. But see how cute the little hair looks behind it if it's foofing up like that? You know, I just like that. I thought it was really fun. Gave it a little, because I like the floof of the little tail and the hair coming off the ears. So why not have just a little bit up there? Like that. All right, and then I do have a bunch of bells here. These little glittered ornaments, again, from Hobby Lobby in the ornament section. So I do like a little bow tie on the neck as well. So I'm gonna, I don't know where you guys, you can make your own bow ties, but this is a purchased one. It's got a little zip tie on it, or a little, I'm sorry, twist like a bread tie. I'm just gonna put my bell on that. So I'm all about easy, right? I don't have to make everything by hand, but if you can use, I just like this little glittered bow. And I have boxes of these little glittered bows, so it's just super easy. And again, once you put it down, you're basically committing, because you are going to be putting glue on the fur and you don't want to pick it up again. So make sure you get it right where you want it. I'm only putting glue right in the center. I'm not going to glue the whole bow down. The least amount of glue as possible. Right about there. You just want to hold it for a second. It's going to be gluing on top of fur, so it's not going to be a super secure hold, but it doesn't need to be. There. And then with these feet, now you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to put jingle bells on the feet, because why not? I just glue them right on. Now they will fall off. It is not, metal does not stick to hot glue very much, but as long as you have a hot glue gun handy, you can fix it super easy. Just if you're making these and selling these, just be sure that you really spend the time to sit here and hold these on as long as possible. And make sure when you're putting glue on the back of jingle bells, that you're getting it around and up under the little, you want it inside and up under that little thing that you hold the bell with, so that it creates a good seal. And we'll, you know, I'm putting it like up under that little thing. It may not jingle anymore. You're probably going to get a little bit of glue inside, but depends on where the little jingler is. Oops, that's too much glue. And again, just you gotta give them a hold. So I have all this red and green down here. I wanted to put some green and something up at the top of the head to kind of tie all the colors in. So I just cut some of these. And you don't have to use the rope if you don't want to. You can cut the rope off. I debated it, but I think we'll just, I think it's a little bit easier to glue it on if you have the rope, because, well, I'm gonna loop the rope up and kind of around the back side to kind of give a little extra hold. Uh-oh, stay out of the hair. Oh, there it is. Use this to hold it down. Just watch your glue strings, make sure they're not getting caught up in the hair. Okay, so there's one. If you want to put little glittered ornaments or something else up here, you absolutely can. I just happen to have these little lights. They're cute. Kind of the same as we've done with the reindeers in the past. So, but yeah, you just whatever you have on hand. There's no. These ones are going to clank. Okay. I think that is about it. You know, people's obsession with glasses. Now, I will say not always the biggest fan. Never really have been. The whole glasses and bubblegum thing just I thought was weird, but still lots of people like it. I don't know. But I have these little party glasses. These are from Hobby Lobby in the party section. Now, if you're going to use glasses, you need to make sure that your eyes are inside of these holes, right? So I would have to move these eyes much closer together to get little glasses like that on. You can. I mean, it's not terrible. I'm just, again, it's not for me. But if you wanted, I think on this one, because he's more plain, the cute little Harry Potter style glasses are kind of cute. They're just different, you know? And I just broke the arms off, and then you would just hot glue these little edges right here down to wherever you want them. Now, if you want them down further on his nose, like Santa Claus would have, like kind of down on the nose like that, you could put a dot of glue under each side that's touching the nose. Really, this is, I don't know if I like that better. I think I kind of like it up higher. You complete, but don't put the eyelashes on if you're going to do the glasses. The eyelashes just get in the way, and once you put the glasses on, you can't see them anyway. So you can, like I said, you can absolutely do this. It's just a personal choice. We'll go ahead and put it on this one. This is kind of my guinea pig cow here. All the things that I wasn't sure I wanted to do, we're going to try it on this cow. Let's see. I personally think a bigger pair of glasses would be better on him, but at the same time, the fact that they're like little reading glasses and he's got a Santa hat on is kind of cute. So we're just gonna see. I have a little bit of glue coming out right there, right at the edge. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm gonna let that sucker dry. And then as soon as it cools off, I'll just snip it with my scissors. Here's these little bitty things. Because this plush felt, you know, you can cut a pretty good amount of that off without you even noticing it, as long as you don't go too deep with it. Just cut the very edges. So yeah, these cute with the little glasses. Again, any glasses. You can find glasses anywhere. If you're going to do Valentine's Day, go on Amazon and look for heart glasses. Hobby Lobby might have heart glasses. I just don't know. Maybe they do around Valentine's Day. But so there you go. You can see all our little herd growing here. And they're all just super cute. And they're all unique. And they all have their own little personalities. So I do hope you enjoy making this guy. And I hope you will consider making them for many seasons. Because they're not just for Christmas. You can kind of do whatever you like with it. Okay? So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Thank you so much.